This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Be aware I am not a medical doctor, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. But I hope you still enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to the Gluten Free Advocate, a Substack and podcast that helps me process my health journey and my determination to pretend that those health conditions don't exist at all. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and learnings for traveling the world with celiac disease and type 1.5 diabetes, you have come to the right place. Now, let's get started. Hello, everybody. So, fun laughs, good times. A couple weeks ago, I talked about how I had a list of people I've always wanted to talk to, a list of people that if I one day were cool enough to talk to them, hopefully they would give me the time of day and come on this podcast. And I was scrolling through my Instagram thinking of who could I have an interesting conversation with. And there was one name that I came across that I was like, no way. He would never answer. He would never respond and want to talk to me. I'm just going to get lost in the many DMs that he always gets. 2 days later, I kid you not, I get a message from this person. And guys, it's Matt from Gluten Free Street Gang. And I'm recording this intro before I even get to interview him, just because scheduling, it made the most sense to do it this way. I don't normally do that. I usually record the intro once we've had the conversation, so I don't accidentally pigeonhole that conversation at all. But I'm just too excited. I have to express my excitement for getting to chat with Matt. I have faith that I'm not jinxing this. Because I have a feeling that this is going to be such a great conversation. A lot of this conversation I based off of listening to another podcast, and you guys have heard me talk about my friend Ben. I actually refer to him as my brother, from a Gluten Free family, or the Gluten Free Podcast. I will put the link to that episode in my show notes, so make sure to give Ben some love as you're listening to this, and may be helpful for giving context to some questions I'm asking. I'm sure we're going to talk about it in this podcast episode and the experience that Matt had in chatting with Ben and some things that popped up for me and wanting to continue that conversation along. And just, there are folks in this community that are so incredibly beautiful and wonderful and generous. That goes to show, don't ever be afraid to reach out to somebody, because I'm not an influencer. I don't have a big following. But I'm having the conversations, whether people are listening or not. And evidently that's helping people. So all that to say is, if you're wanting to let someone know the impact that they're making on your day-to-day life, no matter who they are, just go for it. Reach out, because then you could have potential for wonderful conversations like the ones I've had this season, and like the one I'm sure to have with Matt once we record this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time. Hi, Matt. Thank you so much for joining me. You have been a dream guest of mine since I started doing this whole thing, and never thought I would be cool enough to ever actually get to talk to you. So I'm sweating, most nervous I've probably ever been. So I'm really excited to be talking with you today.
You flatter me. It means a lot to hear that I'm a dream guest of yours, and it is currently a heat wave here in the UK. So for once, I'm also sweating. So you know what? We're both in this together.
Yes, and my fangirling portion is done. We are now going to go to the very serious portion of this interview. But you are someone that, not to sound creepy or stalkerish, but I've been following for a while. And you are someone that the more I learn about you, with people, you're kind of like, oh, I get you. Like, I got your whole vibe. You always surprise me. And that's why I always love hearing conversations that you have and following you on social media. So one of those things is, I didn't realize you don't have celiac disease. So for a brief recap for all of us, can you just tell us how the gluten-free diet became thrust upon you, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, of course, I guess I contain multitudes. I
You do.
So we're going to wind up back to, I think it was 2012. I
Okay.
was between my first and second year of university in the US. I was doing a summer study abroad in Prague, and then I went back to the US after that ended. And within 2 weeks, I was really sick, like really, really sick. I had every GI issue short of blood. I was bloated. I had crazy brain fog. Like my GPA in that year that followed dropped by a full point because
Oh,
I just
wow.
could not focus. And it was like there was one particularly bad night that I could not put any weight on my right foot. Like I woke up in the middle of the night thinking I need to like go to the bathroom, and I could not put away because my abdomen hurt so bad. And I thought, like, is it my appendix? Is it my intestines? Something going on? Like I was like hobbling to my parents' room and trying to say, "Hey, can you drive me to the emergency room like 5 minutes ago?" Only
Right.
for me to let out a giant fart and be totally fine. Um, the next day, I went to urgent care, and the unfortunately very attractive nurse told me, "You're just really constipated." So, it was a really humbling experience overall. But after some testing for all of the scary things, like my doctor told me I have, quote, probably celiac. And there was a lot that I didn't know about this. I didn't get a referral to a GI doctor, and I was just kind of freaked out and said, "Okay, gluten free. I'll do whatever you say." I didn't know about cross contact. I didn't know about like really a lot of the mechanics of this. I just thought, here's an answer. I'm just going to take it and run with it.
Mm.
Just blind confidence. And I lived that way for about 7 years. It wasn't until I had a flare up about 7 years later that I was seeing a new doctor. That was my pediatrician. Was now I was seeing an adult doctor who was a little bit surprised I was diagnosed based on blood work. So went back and got all the scary testing done back on gluten challenge.
Ooh.
Zero out of 10 would not recommend,
Yeah.
and
No.
only to be told, okay, no Crohn's, no celiac, like no cancer,
Mm.
nothing scary is wrong with you. Like your like the classic, your blood work is fine. Like
Yeah.
everything is fine. So I then got referred to a GI doctor who talked about the mechanics of food intolerances. And in the end, I was given a diagnosis after elimination dieting, which also was its own unique brand of not fun, of a gluten intolerance and some FODMAP issues as well. So that is a short story long, but that is how I ended up eating gluten free and all the various flavors of gluten free life that I've had.
And I'm sure it feels when they tell you that your blood work is fine. And I say this based on experience. It's its own brand of fresh hell where you're like, oh, I'm living
Mhm.
in hell on earth because I know I'm in pain. And it must be really frustrating to not have that celiac diagnosis, but reacting to gluten as if you do. Not to project onto you, but I'm sure I can only relate and sympathize. I wonder if that's how you felt.
It's interesting. It definitely, I had started my Instagram before
Mm.
I got the intolerance diagnosis. So I it almost had a little bit of imposter syndrome. That to me
Mm.
was like a concern of like I and become like when I as I was going deeper and deeper into this world, I realized I'm going to be an advocate for people with celiac disease, and I don't
Right.
have it myself, and I can eat at places because I can do cross contact. I don't
Right.
usually react. Occasionally, like I've I've had days where I've had like trace amounts and sauces and my body has reacted so poorly. But then I'll have
Mm.
times where I'll accidentally be given gluten, but I'll have a bite and I'll be like, like I'll be completely fine. And I don't
Yeah.
know what is going on in here, but something is just not right. Um, but it is like interesting trying to like tread both worlds of like, okay, I have my own specific needs for what I can and can't do, but I recognize that not everyone is like me and I
Mm.
know what it feels like to be left out. So, it's more like trying to be inclusive, trying to make sure that like it's not like there's a wider purpose than it's just about me complaining because I can't have my favorite foods.
Yeah. You mentioned something, and just in what I try to do in my day to day life, and when, young teenagers come to me somehow and tell me about that they've just been diagnosed with celiac and what's the good and the bad. And I feel like the best part, I was diagnosed at 15, and
Mm,
my siblings were younger. And you mentioned being an advocate, and that was the number one skill I had to learn really quickly. Like the people pleasing and the not wanting to be a burden, kind of, I never had that issue, thanks to
mhm.
celiac disease. So I heard you talk about it a little bit with Ben on his podcast, A Gluten Free Podcast, which we'll put a link to that episode as well as you go into some of these things in more detail. But do you mind just sharing some tips and tricks on people learning how to advocate for themselves and how to kind of get through the mental blocks of all of that?
I mean, like something you just said about being people pleaser really resonates because that was my issue growing up is I didn't like being fussy. I didn't like to stir the pot. I was very much like I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm not gonna be the one to set the flow. So, when you have a diagnosis like this, that means like you need to be like every single time that you go out to eat, or even if you're in someone's house to eat, you need to not people please. Oh
Right.
my gosh, is that tough? Having a dietary restriction is like the ultimate reason why like you need to speak up for yourself because no one's gonna do it for you. Occasionally,
Right.
people do try to like speak for me at restaurants, and I have to like shut it down. I used to be
Oh,
bad at
good for
that too,
you.
but it's all practice, right? It's not
Mhm.
perfect as practice. I years on, I still struggle with it. Like occasionally, when I have a waiter that I know I need to speak to, or have a doctor I need to speak to, and know I need to go do my spiel, I still get that lump in my throat of, oh God, here we go again. So, like tips that I have are just start small. Whether it's like taking like a trusted loved one with you when you go somewhere, and like do it to them or do it in front of them. Like small like bits of practice can make a big difference. But what helped me a lot is realizing I'm not being a problem when I need information. And that was a
Mhm.
big roadblock of I tried to get myself over is I'm like when I am at a restaurant and say I can't eat here, or when I shut down a restaurant that I can't go eat at, or at a doctor advocating for, hey, like my symptoms are flaring up again. I think something might be going on. Like I need a referral. Like yeah, like realizing that like you're not being pushy, you're not being a problem, like was a really big mental block for me. And again, I don't want to put words in your or any listeners' mouths, but having like affirmations like that as like
Mhm.
woo as it can sound like can be a really big help.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because my sister also has celiac, as does my brother. And when my sister and I go out, she just turns to me, and then I'm like, "All right, here I go for everybody." And
And
I really feel not sorry because that acts like I'm speaking down to anybody, but I definitely can only empathize with folks that suffer from people pleasing. And that's my biggest flaw, probably. But also, I'm glad it turned into an asset to be able to help others in a really strange way. Um, this is going to be a really hard turn into because what
do
I
your
love,
worst.
yeah. But a lot of things I think in talking about things of what you feel is possible versus not possible and hurdles to overcome. There we go. That's how I'll segue this.
Mm.
One of the things when I was first diagnosed was I thought that traveling was impossible. All I wanted to do as a little girl was travel the world. And I thought with celiac disease, that couldn't happen anymore. A part of your platform or a big part of what you do is talking about how much being traveling the world while gluten free is in fact possible. And that's how I found you and appreciate you so much because you're part of me being able to feel like I could do anything. So I would love to start from the very beginning of that story too, because I hear tell it's a really good place to start. What inspired your love for traveling?
I could not relate more is like food aside, I mean, aside from croissants, when I was told probably celiac all those years ago, the first thought I had was, oh boy, there goes travel.
Yeah.
It was I could deal with everything else. I was like but I love
Yeah.
traveling. When I was growing up, I grew up in Bermuda, and my dad traveled a lot for work, and we would travel to the U.S. to see family a lot. And I loved nothing more than when it was time to get in a new plane and go to a new place, whether we had been there before or hadn't been there before. I got really used to it, and it made me feel whole. It just brought so much light into my life, and I look back on
Mhm.
my younger years like so fondly, in part because of that. And yeah, it kind of exactly like when I went through my diagnosis journey, I thought it was over. And I part of why I post about it so much now, why I want to keep talking about it is exactly that of when like I don't know about you, but when I first was going through my gluten-free journey, I did not even have a concept that 100% gluten-free restaurant, bakery, grocery store was even a possibility. Like
Mhm.
I just kind of thought I was going to go um to the grocery store for the rest of my life and get that sad loaf of bread with the air hole in it. The brand I'm not going to name, we're not going to name names, but if you know, you know.
Mhm.
I thought that was it for the rest of my life. So when I realized, hey, you can actually travel not everywhere you want to go, but to a good number of places and have a really good time doing it, eat really good food, and not feel like you're being a burden. To me, I was like, why aren't
Mhm.
we talking about this? And this is like breaking news. So that's like in large part why I do what I do.
I love that. I also, I don't know if you feel the same way, but the more I was talking about this with my partner earlier today, of the more I travel, the more I fall in love with touristy things from my hometown. So I'm from New York originally.
Mhm.
And the more I travel places, the more I fall in love with places like Times Square, because I have such an
Hmm.
appreciation and all. And especially because I think in talking to you, I'm realizing I'm having an epiphany in real time. I thought it was never going to be able to happen for me. And so the fact that it has, I never take any of those moments for granted. Is that something that you could relate to as well? Or is that just me?
I mean, I will say that appreciating Times Square might just be you, but
That's fair. I take that. I accept that.
um, no, yeah, like at times, like if you go somewhere where like it's somewhat easy to travel gluten free, like New York City these days is pretty easy. Like if you go to Madrid, it's pretty. It's not like a cakewalk, but it's significantly easier than it
Mm.
could be. Like it can be
Mhm.
easy to get just feel normal and say, okay, I'm going to go to a bakery for breakfast. I'm going to go get pizza for lunch. I'm going to go get Japanese food for dinner. It's all going to be dedicated places. It can feel like very normal, and I think that's the point. But also, like,
Yeah.
when you're doing that, um, like I know one thing we talk about a lot, like we talk about by DM is celiac cruise, and like to me,
Right.
that's kind of how I see this. Is it can almost feel so normal that when you go back into the real world of like no, like not everywhere caters for you, it can be tough. So
Mm.
I don't think I appreciate it as much as I should, I think is
Mm.
the point that I'm getting at.
Yeah, it's definitely that it's a very strange post depression, vacation depression when you go on a celiac cruise and go home for that reason. Uh,
100%.
a really also unique thing that you do on your page that other gluten-free pages don't do, and I'm curious to hear your journey with this, is you talk about planes and how the catering process works and the process of ensuring that you have a gluten-free meal. And you just posted something the other day that I screenshot because I was like, yes, preach it, please. Of just saying how, and I'm looking at it now, of it's, and this is a transition that I've gotten into just this year of just because we're gluten free or have to have something special does not mean we need to accept good enough, or like it's good for being gluten free or they quote unquote tried. We're people that are also paying for these services. It is considered in America a disability and should be accommodated as such. And we are just as valuable as everybody else on that plane that's being taken care of in the multitude of ways. That's not exactly what you said, but that's my me now carrying
Like
on the yes
no
and.
lies were told.
Yeah, the yes and of what you were saying. So tell me about that process and how you've gotten so much information to be able to share with us, and thank you for your good work. Like you are doing the Lord's work. Thank you.
I appreciate the vote of confidence here. Like if like there's one thing that I don't really I share it a bit on my account. My number one interest in this world is airplanes and the aviation industry. It's a bit of a special interest of mine, and I just I've been since I was like really little and was could recognize I am getting on a plane. I've just been captivated by all things. I like knowing how it all works, and that's part of why to me, airline catering makes absolutely no sense. There's a lot of information out there and hot takes about why gluten-free meals get left behind. It's well-meaning but often misinformed. Like even
Mm,
things like most airlines don't own their own catering; they outsource it. So like if the airline forgets it, it's not actually the airline forgetting it. It's LSG Sky Chefs. It's Dough and Co. And like, I'm not saying that makes it right, but it's more like there's absolutely no way for the airline to confirm that your meal is going to make it on that plane until
mm,
until you get on that plane yourself. Otherwise, they can only see the request that you put in that they submit to the
Mm-hmm.
caterer. And I think that's
Yeah.
part of why I like talking about it is I am by no means an expert in aviation, but I'm confident that I know more about how catering works than the average person just because I spend my free time reading reading aviation blogs, and like doing like primary research into this. And it's been interesting seeing how it works, but at the same time, it's so frustrating thinking that there's so many ways that it could be better. Like
Yeah.
my partner, when we fly, he'll get a meal that
Mm.
looks like it could be gluten free. Like if he gets shepherd's pie as a main course, like where the heck is the flour in that? Like where's the good as a cross contact? Like that seems pretty easy. And then when I get something sad, I'm like, well, that literally you literally could have made a couple of swaps, and we all
Yeah.
could have had the same experience.
Right.
But I think the bigger thing that like just irks me is you have to order your meal 24 hours or 48 hours in advance, and they still will forget it. Like, what are you doing for those 24 to 48 hours? That means that you still forget the meal. Like, it
Right.
boggles the mind. So I think it comes from a point of we can do better. Airlines should be better. Caterers should do better. And also just knowing like just knowing a bit how it works so that I can try and push to make it a little better.
Yeah, I love and admire and respect it so much. So, question for the ignorant that is me, talking to someone that has quite a big platform in the community. Is it something that you're able to put a call out to all of us and the community is able to rally behind the cause and make happen for companies? Is there certain access of people that maybe are more willing to speak with you, that you feel like you're the advocate sometimes or the representative for the community? How does that all work? How can we help you helping us is also part of that question.
That's a really good question. And I have thought of what kind of campaign could we do as a community? What kind of like advocacy could we do for businesses? But like, the limitations of what I know are just, I don't like know what the business of catering airplanes is. So I've been
Mm,
reaching out as like a media person to talk to different
okay.
caterers, airlines, and people who work in the space to get a sense of this. And I hope that there's something that we as a community can do because it
Yeah.
is just not, it's not just gluten-free meals, right? Like there's all
Right.
kinds of special meals that are a are affected by this. Yesterday, I flew from JFK back to London, and I had a bit of a travel hiccup that meant that my meal didn't make it anyways. But the flight attendant that came over to me to talk about it said, "Hey, I see you have this meal request. It didn't make it, but also nobody's special meals made it. Like on the flight. So no vegan meals, no Hindu meals, no kosher meals, like none of it. Like there
Right.
has to be a better way, and I'm just like trying to find what the biggest impact could be.
Yeah. Well, I'll be standing by and ready to report for duty whenever you have that
I
ready to
appreciate
go.
your commitment to the service.
Yes. Fly too much and I'm sick of the nonsense.
Ain't that the
um,
truth?
yes. So this leads me to another question that I had for you. And I'm always curious again for those that have platforms. How do you balance what is your issue to take on in the gluten free space versus what you kind of have to put on the shelf, and balancing your personal life when who you are as a person is your business and your brand? How do you navigate all of that and still be able to enjoy the traveling and put those boundaries up for yourself as well?
It's I think if you ask creators with bigger platforms, you might get a bunch of different answers. To
Mm.
me, I'm really sensitive about oversharing.
Hmm.
Like I'll occasionally yap to my story, and I'm not sure if you drink, but it almost feels like I'll post it, and then an hour go by, and I'll have the same feeling that I did when I was in undergrad at like sending texts at 3 a.m. waking up the next day saying, "Oh, I was a different person then." Like I'm just gonna how do I unsend that? So I'll go and delete
Right.
the story. It's a bit of like a oversharing shame. But boundaries are tough. I know people who aren't in the gluten-free niche, but they share a lot more of their lives, but it almost feels like they're doing things for the camera. And I'm not saying that all
Hmm.
creators do that, but I try to make sure that I'm still in the moment as much as I can be. I don't
Mm,
often share things when I'm in, like, I don't share things where I actively am unless I'm really excited about it.
mm,
Just because I like, I'll take my camera out, take a picture or video or whatever content I need, but then I'll go back to having dinner, like enjoying my flight, uh, enjoying wherever I happen to be at the moment, like talking to the person that I'm with, because I want to make sure that like it's this is a part of my life, but it doesn't consume my
yeah.
life. And I get recognized a lot in public these days, and I kind of I love having a little chats. Like I do love when people um come up and say hi. I've never had anyone too weird. The weird ones are when people will message me after the fact saying, "Hey, I was at like Covent Garden Station and I saw you waiting for the train and I wanted to say hi, but I didn't say hi." I thought, how long were you watching me and what was I doing at that point? So,
Right,
um,
right.
but I just like I don't share my immediate neighborhood where I live just to try to like maintain some anonymity. If I really don't want to talk to anyone, I have like sunglasses and a hat that I don't post in any videos, pictures, etc. that I'll walk around in so that like maybe people won't recognize me. And usually, like, I'm not sure if it works because I've not been recognized in my disguised outfit yet, but for it's 100% so far. So it's being a niche internet celebrity is fun, but there was a lot that wasn't in the handbook when we signed up for this that
Right.
about like how do you keep it to your life? How do you still like how do you build it into your life versus making it your life?
It's it's also, I don't think, based on doing the math in my head, that we're that far apart in age. In the time that we grew up, all of this didn't exist too. So I'm sure it's also really heady where when we were growing up, you had to be on like Disney Channel to be famous. And then becoming internet famous is a really heady thing with your platform and such. So I'm sure that's also takes a second to get accommodated to.
But it's so interesting because there's never been a time in history that we've had this ability to get famous so fast, but also like not necessarily be compensated for it and not be known worldwide. Like it's
Yeah,
kind of wild to me that I can get recognized around the world.
right.
Where like it feels like if I'm not trying to say that I'm like Beyonce, but if like Beyonce,
You
like
are in the
it,
gluten free community, baby. You are.
putting that on my LinkedIn right now.
Yes.
The Beyonce of gluten free food. Um, but it's an interesting time to be in, where as a content creator, you can just build this platform, build this following, and have this fame, notoriety, what have you, but not be like, yeah, exactly as you said, like a Disney Channel star or a famous like hockey player. It's
Right.
it's interesting, but like to have a to be to have a platform as big as I do, even people that are bigger than I am, because obviously, like some, still a small fry. There's no real training. We don't have agents. Like an example is like Ronaldo has an
Mm,
agent. Like
right.
Taylor like most like somewhat major singers have agents. We
Right.
don't. And if like we say something funny or bad, that could be it. We don't have any PR person to tell us, hey, here's what you say, here's what you don't say. We're all figuring
Right.
it out on our own. So
Yeah.
it's not to complain too much, but it is an interesting challenge build to build a business like this.
Well, whenever we're on a celiac cruise together, because I'm sure on those in those situations you are a hot commodity. If you ever need a room to hide away in, it's always open. The door is always open for you. Because
My God,
some
it's
folks have taken me up on that in the past. So happy to extend that to you as well.
I I might be taking you up on that. I think we'll be on the same one later this summer, so I might have take it up on you before you know it.
Yes, very excited for it. Well, to kind of turn back, because not turning back to travel, because we're kind of talking about the business now of what
Mm.
you do. I know you do a lot of travel consulting. So, how did this come into your lap? What made you want to, make a living off of this? And how can we all connect with you in this way?
Of course, I don't yet make a full-time living off of travel consulting. I it's would be nice, but we're not quite there yet. It's
I'm
for
manifesting
me.
for you.
I'm also manifesting for me, so two and two together will
Yes.
make it work.
Yes.
It's came into my life because I realized that one, it's a lot of work to maintain recommendation lists to do content. And I wanted to see, is there a business demand for helping people plan trips to the UK? And like I was getting a lot of DMs, people asking, "Hey, I'm coming to London, Manchester, Edinburgh, etc. Like, can you like give me some thoughts on where I should go for all these days?" And I love doing it, but it takes a lot of time, and
Right.
I'm unfortunately time poor these days. So I it's a balance, right? Like on my page, I post so many things that are free resources. I post a lot of tips for everywhere that I go. But for people who want a little more in-depth help where they have specific questions or they feel overwhelmed, I offer this as a service that I think is really valuable, that can help them, you know, map out their itinerary, know where, like, get some feedback on where they should or shouldn't go, like, let them know where their specific wants and needs are, if they have multiple dietary needs in their party, how they can accommodate that. It's more for like complex itineraries, overwhelm, or just wanting a little more personalized guidance than you can get by searching gluten free eats in London on TikTok.
Yeah. So can
Yeah,
folks
I'm
go
currently
to your...
undergoing. Oops, sorry.
No,
Uh,
go ahead.
I I I am currently undergoing a bit of a rebrand for that. It should
Okay.
be live in about a week and a half, which
Okay.
for based on right now, that should be the weekend of July 4th. So let's
Okay.
read and bring. I'm going to be relaunching my consulting service, and it's going to be on my website, glutenfreestreetgang.net. Shameless plug, but that's where it is going to live.
And you have a lot of merch that people can go and purchase too on your site, right?
We're also refreshing my merch. I
So
am working
exciting.
with someone to update my branding because I am a perfectionist. I redid my website. I did my branding all myself, and I've never liked it for one day. It's right. If you go back on my
Mhm.
feed long enough, you will see it changes like every like 3 to 6 months because I get sick of it, and I think, why did I like? Who was the person that made these choices? Hint me. But I am working with someone to unpack everything going on in my head and bring it to life with a new identity. So there is merch, but we will be having a refreshed line of merch with the new. It's going to look pretty smart in a few months.
Okay, I'm excited. I'll hold then until I purchase anything until that launch happens. Good to know. Good to have the inside scoop sometimes. I've taken up so much of your time, and I feel like I could talk to you for days, but I just have uh, one more fun travel related question. Then I do a rapid fire if that's okay to just take those few moments.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm curious for the guy that's been everywhere. What is still on your bucket list that you would like to go?
Ooh, I have not been to Australia. If you know the bakery, Sebastian Gluten, he's in Sydney.
Yes,
I want to try his croissants so badly.
my
Um,
friend, you must
you've
tomorrow.
tried it.
Yes, I have.
Okay, I will risk my career, my life, just to go
Yes,
to
it's, you
Australia,
know
catch the
what?
next flight.
Worth it. Worth it.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps telling me is that it's worth it. Um,
I've never had food melt in my mouth before the way that his croissants do. It's incredible.
have you ever had craft croissants in Amsterdam?
No, but I am going to Amsterdam soon. So,
Okay. I look forward to unpacking this because I've not met
okay.
anyone who's had both, and those are the best that I've had. So I'd really
Okay.
like to kind of get the first experience of which is better and why.
Okay. So this is craft, you said, in
Craft
Amsterdam?
coffee and pastry.
Craft coffee and pastry. I'm writing it down.
G- You
Pause on
can,
the interview, please, while I write this down.
of course. Um, just some tips. They're not open every day. I think they're closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Um, you can pre-order, but
Tuesday. Okay.
you can pre-order. I would recommend it just because they do sell out. Like if you're going to get there first thing, which I recommend doing if you're not going to pre-order, expect
Okay.
you're going to wait in line for about 30 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
Understand that it's going to be worth it. Like just
Okay.
take a deep breath. Just know that's going to be worth it. And
It's
um, uh, if they don't have anything like the ham and cheese on the shelf, just like ask them when the next ones are going to be out, and they'll hold some for you.
Okay. Oh
But
gosh, I love
it's
this.
worth it's worth the wait.
I'll come back with the full report of comparing and contrasting the two. This is
I
very
cannot wait.
exciting. Okay, so that's your bucket list. That's a very exciting and worthwhile bucket list item for, especially in the gluten-free space. I'm so excited for you. I wish I could experience it for the first time myself. Okay, so the rapid fire questions. This one's not super rapid fire, but when do you find yourself needing to advocate for yourself the most with your gluten allergy?
Oh, group dinners.
Okay. Yeah, fair.
Especially when they're sharing plates, and I have to say, uh, I have to say that I'll get my own food, you guys can get everything else, and everyone say, "Oh no, we'll get what you can get," and we'll just share it all, only to learn that okay, anything on breaded, like fryer is off limits, and they realize, oh, maybe we should just let Matt order his own food. It's to me, that's where I find myself advocating for the most of this.
Yeah, because you kind of just have to let people go through their process. There's no skipping that step. You're right.
You have to lead the horse to water and let them figure out how to drink it.
Y- You ain't never lied. So in your opinion, where is the city with the best food?
I'm biased that London's pretty great, but I will say New York City or Madrid are the best these days.
Okay. I wish I spoke with you before I went to Madrid because I just did not have as good of an experience. So I'll have to try this
Really?
again. Yeah,
You're not the
Barcelona
first
was where it was
person.
at for me. Yeah.
Barcelona, and before the cruise too, it's going to be great too. But Madrid has a good number of restaurants too. So next time you go, you know where to find me.
Okay, perfect. Love this. Where is your favorite city to explore?
Tokyo, hands down.
Ooh, okay. I'm
It
going
just
to be
it
reaching
feels
out,
like. Are
yeah,
you
to you
going?
before that one. Well, there is no set plan, but there will be honeymooning in Tokyo. So I don't know when. It's just a matter of when, not if. I'm telling him right now as I'm speaking to you.
I love that.
Exciting. Okay, so my last question for you: where is the city where you learned the most about yourself?
That is such a good question. And I probably would say, above all else, Amsterdam, because I've been at
Okay.
this point 7 or 8 times. And almost every single time I've been there, there's been some sort of travel mishap or something has gone wrong that I've had to like think under pressure and see how I would react in entirely new situations. None of them having to do with the legalized substances, by the way. So it,
Yes.
I could have a whole podcast episode where I unpack all the various bits that happened to me in that city. But yes, Amsterdam, just because of the tribulations.
Oh, well, that was a perfect way to end this episode. Thank you so much, Matt. I'm so appreciative of you being here, and I hope to keep these conversations going because this was such a pleasure. You lived up to all the hype in my head, so thank you.
You flatter me. Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you. And yeah, let's keep up. Let's keep talking, and I'll see you in a few weeks.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for joining me this week for an episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. For more information on what's discussed on the podcast, check out the episode description and or my Substack, The Gluten Free Advocate. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Till next time. This episode is produced by Lee Francis Productions.